I think that most people completely misunderstand compounding. I think a lot of people correlate compounding only relating to money, specifically like the stock market or any type of investment like that. Of course, this is very important, probably the thing I talk about most if you watch me at all. However, within the last 6 months, I actually have had a complete mindset shift after I realized there are actually 3 forms of compounding that can completely shift your life. This has completely changed the way I look at wealth, business, investing, and even my everyday daily habits. If you haven't heard of this, I want to introduce you guys to something called triple compounding. This is a framework that a lot of the overall most successful and wealthy people have used to get to the point they're at now. First and probably most important layer, especially if you're just a young person starting out, is income compound. If your income never grows, there's only so much investing can actually do over time. To be clear, I think investing can do a lot over time just by itself. However, if you really want to accelerate this process, income is what you need to be focusing on. For example, if someone is barely making enough money to even save, I would definitely not suggest them to focus on investing in the stock market as their main priority. Of course, stock market investing is still important. However, if you get to a point where you're able to invest $3,000 a month instead of $100 a month, you're going to see much faster and much bigger progress over time. This is exactly why I think learning valuable skills is one of the highest ROI things you can do when you're in your 20s. Sales, communication, learning how to use AI tools, anything that is valuable and can give you some leverage. Learning and mastering these skills can completely change the forward trajectory of your life. Now, the main reasons why I call this income compounding is because these skills also compound over time. Let's use sales as an example. For 6 months straight, you decided for 1 hour every single day, you are going to work on becoming a better salesperson, whether it's building education by reading, watching stuff online, or even just doing like mock calls, some form of practice. How much stronger of a salesperson do you think you would be on day 1 versus 6 months in? Now at that point in the business world, you're seen as a much more valuable person. The more value you create, the more leverage you're going to gain access to. Now think, what do you think would have been a better investment going back 6 months? Throwing an extra $300 a month in the market, investing the $300 into getting more sales experience every single month, which is now making you an extra $5,000 a month. It's an example of only one high leverage skill out of the millions that are out there that you can completely learn online now. Taking a second to really realize how powerful the internet is really opens up your mind. Moving on to the second layer, the one that most of you watching most likely already know about, investing. Buying assets and holding on to them for the long term. This is where you can get your money to work for you instead of you working for every dollar you make. This was the first form of compounding I ever learned about, and it completely changed how I look at money. Wealthy people do not just rely on earned income. They own things that make them money. Businesses, stocks, real estate, all forms of assets. The best part about these things is they are growing even when you're not working. Ownership in assets is the true key to freedom. Investing compounding seems boring at first, but what it can do over time is insanely powerful. If you aren't familiar with how strong it truly is, I highly recommend you guys checking out some of my videos where I show some examples. Lastly, moving on to the third layer, probably the one that gets overlooked the most, investing in yourself. Small things you do every single day are completely shaping your future. People around you, your routines, your health, the books you read, in general, your daily habits stack up over time. This is exactly where I think a ton of people get stuck. A ton of people just have this mindset that they're going to completely change their life overnight. The key is, though, most successful people did not just change in one moment. Just building a good mindset alone, I think, is 90% of what gets wealthy people to where they're at. Stacking that up with strong daily habits, it all compounds over time. The key here and most important thing that's going to help you in all these forms of compounding is one thing called consistency. Going to the gym once is not going to change your body. Working on a business for one day is not going to change your income most likely. However, if you stack all these things up consistently over time, you're bound to get results. If you want to see overall true progress in your life, especially financially, triple compounding is the way to go and what I'm personally integrating in my life now. Better skills can increase your income. Better income can buy you more assets. A stronger mindset can make sure you stay consistent long enough to make sure it all works. Having the discipline to even commit to compounding these 3 sectors in your life for even just 6 months can make such a massive difference in the trajectory of your life going forward. That is what we call triple compounding. Now, this is a system that I've started to implement in my own life and have already started to see noticeable progress in a couple months. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want to see how this adds up over time.